You're listening to an Elephant Shoe podcast with your host, Andrea Szabo. Well, welcome to our podcast. We are here with Suzanne BOundy from Sanita Natural Therapies. Now, this is the first time I've actually had a guest on. I'm really looking forward to this and very excited. Welcome, Suzanne.
Thank you, Andrea. Lovely to be here and chatting about Ayurveda, which is one of my favourite topics.
And Ayurveda is what you do best. The practice of Ayurvedic medicine in the form of many treatments. I've been working with you for about a year now.
Yes.
You've been working on my body, and I cannot believe how different I feel after each session, and then how people have actually noticed the changes in my body just by what we've been doing. So I want to share with everyone else, basically.
Thanks.
You're welcome indeed. So you've got sort of like a lifestyle program through your natural therapies company called Sanita. How do you spell that?
So it's Sunita.
Right now, I'd really love you to tell me, what is the Ayurvedic practice? What is it and where does it come from?
Okay. Ayurveda originated in India somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 years ago. It's a parallel system of health to the traditional Chinese medicine, but this is like the Indian version, and it's known as the science of life.
Science of life, that's nice. Now, with science, there's usually elements to things. What are the main elements that you find here with Ayurveda?
Okay, so the absolute foundational principle of Ayurveda is that everything is made up in the universe of the 5 elements, which are ether, space, water, fire, earth. So these elements are presented in a unique combination. So for things like a flowing stream, obviously that's going to have a lot more of the water element, to a rock that's going to have much more of the earth element. And so our bodies are made up of a unique combination of those 5 elements, and there's usually one element that's predominant, and then we separate these principles into the 3 main body types of Ayurvedic philosophy and system of health.
Okay, so the 5 elements are separated into 3 body types, and there'd be a combination of different ones.
Yes.
So I think I'm Kapha, which is more earth and water, and then you've got Pitta.
Yes, which is fire and water. Wow. And the last one is Vata, which is the combination of air and space.
Okay, so if I was a Vata,
yes,
what combination would that look like as a person?
The Vata body types generally are your more slender frame of a person. So they're either, usually either short or tall, not usually in the middle with Vatas. And they have a small, slight frame, and usually, quite the slimmer people, and they're very mobile, they talk quickly, they move around quickly, they can be a little bit ungrounded, but they're usually very creative as well. And that's because the predominance of the space and ether.
And then you've got the Kapha people.
Yes, so the Kapha people, Kapha body type, that's a combination of the earth and water predominant elements. And so these are more of the larger boned frames. Actually, Kapha body types, when they're in balance, they're actually the strongest body type of the 3. Because they are so nourished, because they have so much earth. And the main factor with a Kapha body type is that you need to make sure that you're moving every day so you don't get too much of a build-up of the earth element, which can make you a bit sluggish and a little bit unmotivated, and then it's easy to put on weight.
Fair enough. And then last one's Pitta.
So Pitta, so I'm a Pitta body type. That's more of the medium-framed people, and so they're predominantly fire element, and there's a bit of water in there as well. So these people are usually quite sporty, very competitive. They have quite a lot of drive because they have this fire element coming up and presenting itself in this drive to do the very best. They can, when they're out of balance, they can be real perfectionists and burn out, literally burn out. So Ayurveda is all about keeping in balance whatever body type you are.
So if I was out of balance as a kapha, what would be presenting more now?
The first thing that usually happens is that you'll put on weight, you'll have a lot of fluid retention, you'll feel lethargic, maybe, pain in the joints, and the main sort of feeling of fatigue and not wanting to do anything and just kind of sit around on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If I was pitta, what would be the most presented?
So when pitta are out of balance, we usually, quite hot, be quick to anger, typical kind of hot heads. Skin rashes usually appear with the pitta, and also it's really important that pitta body types eat regularly, because if they are hungry and they're hot as well, that is a bad combination.
Hangry, man.
And hangry, literally hangry. Yeah. Vata.
Vata.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Vata, that would present, so when a Vata body type's out of balance, they will be very ungrounded, get a lot of anxiety, those kind of feelings of, not being in control of a situation. But they'd be more experiencing the ungroundedness of not being able to sleep, being really restless, not being able to sit down and just relax. They just have to be on the go all the time because there's just too much air moving through their body, and so they need to ground with some grounding foods and just learn to relax. Doing things like yoga nidra is really good for Vata body types.
Okay, so are we born with a body type, or does it?
Yes.
That's it?
Yes.
And you've got it for the rest of your life?
Yes. So that's called your prakruti. So this is your body that you're born with, and this is your natural vibrant state of health when your body is in complete balance. But what happens is, because of lots of different factors, we grow up and our bodies can become out of balance, even when we're children or teenagers particularly, and then our bodies, they will present to be a different body type, but actually it's just because they're so out of balance for so long. So I'll give you an example of this myself, actually. When I came to Ayurveda, I was very skinny and quite, had a lot of nervous tension, and I didn't sleep well, and I was, quite ungrounded, and my nervous system was quite highly strung. So when I came to Ayurveda, I started to understand the principles of just bringing about balance to the body, and just did a few diet and lifestyle tweaks. Things like oiling my body every day with medicated sesame oil, not eating too many salads or crackers, which were the main things I was eating, and having more cooked foods that helped to ground me. And then what happened over a period of about 6 months is, once I started to implement these diet and lifestyle changes, actually I came into more and more of my healthier state of being within my body and my mind, and then my body has totally changed, and I became much more athletic, and because I was coming back into a state of health physically.
Okay, so it sounds like that when you recognise the imbalances, you personally can rectify it by different foods.
Absolutely.
Exercise.
Yes.
Hot and cold, do they have an
Hot
influence?
and cold are huge in Ayurveda. Mm-hmm. Yes, because, with Vata and with Kapha, actually, both of those body types tend to run cold. So it's actually important for them to have warm drinks, warm foods that are nourishing. But obviously, with the Kapha, you wouldn't want anything too heavy.
Or too wet, maybe?
Yeah, that's right. Or too wet, exactly. Whereas the Vata, they want that moisture, that heaviness, because that's what's going to ground and nourish them the most. And then with the Pitta, you want to be definitely favouring cooler foods and staying away from anything that's heating to the body, like chili. Particularly alcohol is really heating. And it's a bit of a funny thing, because all the doshas like to have the things that make them unbalanced.
Balance is always coming down to that middle road. With the Ayurveda, it's not only, do it yourself, you can get support. How do you support your clients besides giving them lifestyle advice?
Well, they usually come and have regular treatments with me. So I will be doing massage with a particular medicated oil suited to their body type. So I'll be doing regular massage with them. That really helps to bring about balance, especially if they've been out of balance for a while. Yes. And then just a little bit of tweaking with the diet and lifestyle. Doesn't have to be a major, overhaul. Mm-hmm. It's just about bringing some of these principles that we've talked about before, maybe just tweaking the diet a little bit, just to help the system settle and not be aggravated with the predominant element.
I have to say, when I was just drinking warm water all the time, whenever I needed a drink, instead of just getting cold water, 45 degrees, I got the water at each time I had it, I felt so much better.
Yes,
it
really
was incredible
good.
That such a simple tweak is the word you're using, which
Yeah.
is great, because
Yeah.
we always think of, I've got to go on a diet and that means I'm going to have to give up this or do that or whatever. This, from what I'm gathering and experiencing personally, is tweaking. It's not that extreme, it's just observation and working out, if you've got two choices, what's the best one for your body that it needs right now.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. And, because we always start the diet and lifestyle consultations with the state of your digestion. And so sipping warm or room temperature water throughout the day instead of cold water is really good for helping to reignite your digestion, so it works better.
That would be for everyone, would you say?
That would be for everyone. Pitta can, tolerate a little bit more colder things because usually their digestion is very, very strong. So they can tolerate a little bit of cold food and drink. But, again, not all of the time either. Yeah.
And so to be a personal thing when you're assessing someone, you take a lot of things into factor to make sure that they get a chance. And Pindaswade, which is that massage that you do with medicated oils, or no? So I can use medicated oils. We can do either a dry or an oil Pindaswade. So Pindaswades are boluses, cloth boluses that I make up, which have particular herbs and some spices ground down and filled in these boluses. They're tied up, and then I put them on a hot dry pan, a skillet pan, to warm up, and then I massage the body with these. So if I'm doing a dry Pindaswade, which is particularly good for kapha excess in the body, and that can happen to any of the body types as well. If there's fluid retention, congestion of any kind, things like cellulite as well, Pindaswades are fantastic with the heat and the penetrating action of the spices and the herbs that actually go through the skin and help to melt and move all of those deposits that are in between the muscle fibers and within the joints as well. So it can be really good for things like arthritis. Yes, I have to say, when I've had a Pindaswade, I have noticed definitely it feels like it's anti-inflammatory almost.
Yes, it is anti-inflammatory.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I'd like to thank Suzanne BOundy.
Yes, thank you.
For being here. Now, you've got Facebook?
Yes, I have. I've got a Facebook page, Sunita Natural Therapies, and I'm also on Instagram. Yes, so you can contact me through either of those social groups. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming today.
Thanks,
and
Andrea.
we want to wish everyone lots of love and light.